Saquon Barkley finally found the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're live. Oh, all right, folks, we are slacking. We're talking fantasy football, so we do apologize. But what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is that time of the week. Let's get this show started right, 2Ks. How about that?
Let's go.
It is that time of the week. It is podcast day. And man, we've had a wild trip around the NFL this week, haven't we, 2Ks?
Yeah.
Started on Thursday. What a big shocker that was. And then kind of been going. It's been a weird week. And throw in some weird college scenarios, college situations, college games. I'll be the first to admit it. I lost my ass gambling this weekend.
Yeah.
I lost the only one I got right is I took a West Virginia's first half spread, 9.5. Other than that,
Yeah.
wow. But
Your Irish look good.
they did.
Irish look good. I was impressed. I watched pretty much that entire game, and I was pretty impressed.
I left.
Second half. First half was, I think both teams were a little bit shaky in the first half.
Yeah.
But second half, Notre Dame just completely dominated that half.
Yeah, I totally agree there. But it was wild. I left because Cameron's varsity game was at 3 o'clock Saturday. So I had my brother texted me updates, and it got less and less. And then I finally looked at the final score and was obviously very, very happy. But yeah, it seems like their defense is settling in. And it's never a good sign when your third string quarterback goes in the game, but that kid lit it up.
They looked like he looked like he had more control of his team than what, Cohen, is that the name of the starter? I was impressed with Pine. I thought he was. I thought after watching the game, I don't know, if this will translate to the next week or what's going to happen in the future. And I'm just going to be honest. I don't follow enough Notre Dame football to really, give you a good opinion, a good, explanation for it. But I thought Pine was the better quarterback.
Oh, in my opinion, he's the best one we've seen so far this year. And for him to just be kind of thrust into the situation, I thought he handled everything extremely well. And yeah, Coach Kelly's got a pretty big decision coming up. So definitely looking forward to that. Well, 2Ks, the title of today's show is Hard-Hitting NFL Questions. So for those of you that have been watching the last couple weeks, we have been doing kind of like a recap, I guess you'd say, get our opinions on what happened throughout the week. But going to take a little bit different approach this time and see if we can't squeeze some college football in after that. But and I think you probably had the biggest shocker of the weekend. I think any baseball fan, or excuse me, football fan, kind of was a little sad watching that Carolina game, because quite possibly one of the most, if not the most, electrifying man in the NFL goes down. But before we get into that, let's do our quick little box score here, 2Ks. For those of you watching live, go ahead and drop a comment. We'll feature you on the show and kind of get a conversation started. And for those of you watching on the YouTubes, we do love and appreciate each and every one of you. But if you could, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe. I think we're only like 15 subscribers away from 300. So let's see if we can't get those 15 subs by next week. That would be absolutely awesome. And for those of you that are on the podcast side, go ahead and give us a follow, because no one likes the word subscribe anymore in the podcast realm. So go ahead and give us a follow, give us a like. And if you're feeling extra saucy, go ahead and let's do this. Go here, buyturbobeer.com, and yeah, you'll help financially support the show as well. And we did get the gentleman that was on here, the businessman, last week. He bought us a beer, 2Ks. So big shout out to you, my friend. Big shout out to you. But yeah, let's start it off right. Let's go to that Thursday game. It kind of went. The people scoring the touchdowns went a little differently than what I thought, but I think we all kind of saw the Panthers just going in there and just beating the shit out of the Texans. Mm-hmm. No Tyrod, but was it Davis Mills? Is that kid's name?
Yeah.
and had no idea where he came from, but he was their 3rd round pick out of Stanford. So all in all, I don't think he looked that bad.
No, he was. Look, he's not even close to Tyrod Taylor or the way that Tyrod had been playing, up to this point in the season. But he did what he needed. I mean, he didn't do anything that stood out, but he also didn't make mistakes.
No,
he took care of the ball, and that's it. But hey, Carolina's a good defense.
Yeah,
we saw that kind of firsthand last week with in the Saints game where they shut down a Saints offense that just completely destroyed the Packers in Week 1.
Yeah.
So but to me, the pretty much the way that night went is we were talking earlier about Christian McCaffrey, the injury to McCaffrey just changed the entire game because in the beginning McCaffrey was just starting to get everything going. It looked like it was just going to be a typical day at the office for him, and then he goes down with obviously the hamstring injury that as much as I do that those things tend to linger, and with somebody that relies so heavily on his legs, it would not shock me if this turns into a month at least that he's going to be out for. But as soon as he went down, Carolina really just kind of lost their mojo a little bit, and it took them. I mean, halftime came at the right time because then they came out and took care of business in the second half. But Carolina 3-0 to this point. Now it's how many games can they win without McCaffrey? That's going to be the question.
That is a very good question, and I think well, first of all, you really can't replace the production that McCaffrey gives you, both rushing and receiving. You would actually need to get 2 players to do that because he's one of the only dudes in the league that averages 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards. And for what I took out of that was, you're right. How can they sustain? Whoops, wrong button. How can they sustain? How can they find production elsewhere? And I was actually very impressed with Chuba Hubbard. And for those of you that don't know who he is, I believe he was Oklahoma State. He was their rookie running back, and I thought he filled in admirably. But like I said, you really cannot replace the production from McCaffrey with just one player. But my question to you is Sam Darnold for real?
I really think so. I think so, and they have some weapons, and I think going into the season, especially just, with myself, I kind of thought, this is Christian McCaffrey, he's all they got. And then you start to, when you watch a couple of their games and you realize they got a pretty good defense, and then you start to realize, DJ Moore, it has kind of shown himself in these first 3 weeks of the season that he's one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's top 5, but he might crack into there, that top 15, maybe even close to top 10 as a receiver in the league. So, and then for Sam Darnold though is get out of New York, get out of that Jets uniform, because we all know
Zach Wilson, you can have it.
Yes, it is that job is just cursed. I mean, it's almost like for so many years the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation there, and now that's kind of what I compare the Jets to nowadays. Is they're like the typical Cleveland Browns situation where Cleveland's finally got out of that hole and they're legit now, but now it's the Jets that are basically, since the the beginning of it was the Mark Sanchez era, and then it just has been downhill from there.
It's the butt fumble curse, dude.
Yeah.
It's the butt fumble curse.
So, but yeah, to answer your question, to this point, I mean, I get it. We're 3 weeks into the season, but Sam Darnold has been awesome. He's been awesome. I mean, he is the reason why they're 3-0. They're why they sit at 3-0 right now.
They had a stat up somewhere that post Adam Gase, quarterbacks and teams just are within like 2 or 3 years are competitive and winning shit. And funny enough, I did not know this, but Adam Gase is actually from Marshall, Michigan. And 2 years after he was a quarterback, 2 years after he graduated, that Marshall team won a state title. So it goes back even further than just his professional career. But yeah, I'm not ready to put him up like in the elite category quite yet.
No.
Win me some playoff games. At least be competitive in a playoff game, and then we'll talk. But let's switch over to the football team and the Bills. I think the obvious question here is, should they just give Josh Allen the MVP? The dude.
To me, I mean, today is the first game of the season where they've just let him do his thing. You know, I think to this point, I want in the first couple weeks of the season, it seemed like they were trying to, kind of get a run game and try to balance out their offense a little bit. If you go back to last year, there's not a team in the NFL that threw the ball more than this Buffalo team. Josh Allen was just slinging the ball everywhere, but it was working. It's kind of against everything that your typical football coaches want. They want the balance and run the balance offense, and they were throwing the ball basically every single play. Well, then you fast forward to this year, first 2 weeks, it looked like they were trying to kind of get that running game that really wasn't working for him. And then today, they just allowed him to
drop dick,
do whatever he wanted, throw it all over the place. When he wasn't throwing, he was running. I mean, he was the best running back on the field for them. And then the dude can fucking sling it.
Yes.
Like the way he throws the ball and he makes it look, it's so effortless, but at the same time, it's just a freaking hose.
When you're a giant like he is, it is kind of easy.
Yeah, I mean, so if they allow him to play like they did today, it's going to be very tough for anybody in the league to be able to match his numbers. But then again, the guy that I've been talking the most about probably since the NFL season has started, Kyler Murray, is going to be very tough also.
Just to give you a quick stat line, Allen went 32 of 43, 358 yards and 4 touchdowns. And and that's against a good defense too, okay? That's Washington are not schlubs. Nope. They're not the Jets. I mean, that's a legit team. That is a legit team. And just a quick, Heineke went 14 for 24, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. So
he wasn't as sharp as what he was last Thursday night watching him. But then again, Bills are a lot better team than the Giants, And the thing with the Giants is, as a quarterback, I don't feel like you don't really feel like you have to press because the Giants aren't going to run away from you.
No.
To where I think you get into a mode where you have to press a little bit when you're playing against a team like Buffalo because they can hang points on you so fast that before you know it, the game's over. So I think he was feeling like he needs to try to do everything he can to keep up through a couple interceptions, and just was not as sharp as what he was last week. But I still think that he's earned this opportunity to be the starter there.
Absolutely. And there, our aforementioned businessman PK, we do want to give you a shout out, brother, and thank you for the beer purchase. He says the single greatest kick in the history of sport. We're gonna get to that, brother. We're gonna get to that. But before we hit that one, my man Justin Fields, first start of his career. I'm pretty sure after watching that game, either the Browns' defensive line is one of the greatest in the sport right now, or the Bears' offensive line is one of the worst in the league, or a combination of both. Because it's kind of hard to have a good day when Myles Garrett is in and on your lap every single fucking play. Started out good. They took the ball, went down, field goal. Okay. And that's when the Browns just unleashed all hell and made that offensive line look completely silly, just ridiculous. And the Bears defense kept them in it as long as they could, but they were on the field way too long. And he had a steady dose of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That's pretty much what that team's made out of and made for. And excuse me. But yeah, as a Bears fan, I'm not super worried about the future of Justin Fields. I'm more worried about his health and his longevity. Excuse me. Businessman said the Bears O-line. Yes, that was completely horrible. Completely.
Yeah, it was pathetic. But at the same time, you can't put all of that blame on the offensive line. I mean, I get it. When you give up that many sacks, it's all going to look like it's on the offensive line. But at the same time, Fields has got to do a better job getting rid of the ball.
Yeah. Yeah,
and so it's on both of them. Obviously, the offensive line was pathetic. I'm not at all trying to say give them any credit at all.
Right.
But I'm saying that there is a little bit of blame that needs to be hung on Fields. Also, you have to get rid of the ball. You have to be quicker going through your progressions.
I thought we'd see him scramble more, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was making a conscious effort not to. And I think to your point, led to him holding onto the ball too long, which created a lot of those sacks. But yeah, with a game like this where you catch it on the chin, you just got to chalk it up to that defensive scheme was on point.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be one of the best defenses he plays the rest of the year. I mean, next week they got the Lions. That's going to be a lot better game for him to kind of get his things going on. I want to say I was looking earlier about who they were playing the next few games just to see what kind of how. Obviously, you step into your first career start and you're playing against the Cleveland Browns, who a lot of people have picked to be, as a front runner to make the Super Bowl this year. You knew that was going to be a very hard game for him, but they play the Lions next week. I want to say they play the Raiders after that, which the Raiders are 3-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought I'd be saying that.
By the skin of their teeth, they're 3-0. Yeah, we'll get to that one too. But businessman, here you go, brother. Ravens at the Lions, and I actually wrote one of my blogs asking, are these Lions the same old Lions? And to kind of paraphrase the article, I said no. I really like what Motor City Dan Campbell, MCDC, has going on over there. Slap right in the face. These are the old Lions. And I mean, granted, there was some controversy leading up to that last play, that the Justin Tucker fucking bomb, which I cannot wait to watch Pat McAfee's show tomorrow, because he's going to be all over Tucker's dick, which he should. I mean, that was one hell of a kick. One hell of a kick. And to do it to have a kick like that in Detroit and not in Denver, I mean, because that's where we've seen a lot of the long field goals in history is in Denver, just because of the thin air. But to do it in Detroit and just to sack up and be a game winner, Judas. So you talk about ice in your veins, and then if I'm not mistaken, it hit the crossbar and went through. So yeah, if you're Tucker, I guarantee your butthole was a little puckered, because that's something that's never happened, and yeah, it was cool to see. Businessman says the Lions looked better today than before. I agree, but when a guy kicks it 66 yards you take the L and move on. Exactly. But and businessman, if I'm not mistaken, you're a local guy here in Michigan as well. But if you're a Lions fan, you've seen the end of this movie. It seems like this is what constantly plays out over and over and over again. And it just happens to be that the Lions are the ones catching it on the chin. But I think all in all, once the season's complete, do the Lions make the playoffs? No. Are they a step in the right direction to becoming competitive in their division? Absolutely.
I 100% believe that they are. I really do. I think they nailed it in the draft this past year.
Absolutely.
Going offensive lineman. I know it wasn't the sexy draft pick that everybody would like to have, but that guy's going to be one of the best as a left tackle for a long time. And then I guess my question for this year is, how many games do you want to win?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get a quarterback. You have to get your quarterback of the future, because I don't think that Jared Goff is that. I think Jared Goff is
he's serviceable.
He's serviceable. That is his peak. He's never going to be any better than that. But so how many games do you really want to win? You want to be able to set yourself up in there and have one of those top picks, so you can get one of these quarterbacks coming out. And there's going to be some really good quarterbacks in this draft.
And the Lions have not been known to trade up historically, and there are going to be some there's always quarterback studs, let's be honest, but
they haven't been rolled over
no
at all. And 3 games into the season they lost. They got up to such a shit start in the first game of the season against San Francisco, but they fought their way all the way back into that, had an opportunity. I think they were down in the red zone and down 8 and had an opportunity to make that a game, maybe possibly send that to overtime, see what happens. Green Bay, I thought they played them very well for about 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, they fell off apart in that. But that's in Lambeau, and Green Bay's coming off of just an ass whooping in week 1.
You knew Rodgers was going to get them fired up.
Exactly. And then today, Baltimore Ravens team that took out Kansas City on Monday Night Football comes out, and they had every opportunity to almost win that one. So I don't know, it wasn't Monday. That was last Sunday Night Football, but with the Ravens and Chiefs. But Lions had every opportunity. A 66-yard field goal was what wins it. So to me, 3 games into the season, 3 games into the Dan Campbell era, I'm impressed with the guy, and I'm impressed with the team and the way that they don't give up. They play hard. I mean, and it just seems like it's a different
attitude almost. Different.
It's not like the
different
typical
scene.
Lions. Just where. I mean, like with the dipshit Patricia that they had last year, where it looked like a team that didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
This team has a clue. I mean, this team I think is going to get it. I do like Campbell. I think that, I think he's the right guy for the job. I really do.
And for that defense to limit Lamar Jackson to only 1 touchdown, I know it's professional sports. There are no moral victories, but you're 0-3 and quite with some different. If the ball bounces one way rather than the other, this could be a 2-1 team.
They've played against 3 playoff teams.
Yeah,
Niners are going to be in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
The Packers are going to be in the playoffs, and the Ravens are going to be in the playoffs.
Yep.
They maybe have the toughest schedule to this point. 3 games into the season. Now they have Chicago next week, and to tell you the truth, I think the Lions have looked
totally winnable.
Better than the Bears up to this point in the season. And then games against the Vikings, Bengals. Those are 2 winnable games for them. Obviously, going to be tough games, but I'm not going to write this team up as just a complete joke now, where we're at right now. I think that they've actually played, even though they're 0-3, I think they've played better than I would have expected going into this.
And they were able to hold the Ravens to 19 points without Jeff Okudah as well. So T's and P's go out to him. Hopefully he gets back out on the field, because that he was their first round pick last year. So he's going to come back. He's going to make a difference. And I'm obviously not a Lions fan. I'm a Bears fan, so you really can't be both. But Lions fans, the panic button should not be even close to your finger right now. Just hang in there. Just hang in there. Next one, Colts and Titans. Question coming out of this one, 2Ks. Is Carson Wentz a bum? Does he completely suck? His stat line, 19 of 37, 194, 0 touchdowns. I know first of all, how in the hell do you sprain both ankles in one play? How does that happen? But I guess you gotta give him big kudos for even playing today. But from the looks of it, you didn't play too well there, Mr. Wentz. So my answer to that question is, I got to pass on him. I got to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And the Titans, I think, have kind of reset, and they're kind of on that. They're shaping up to be the Titans team that we all kind of expected to see. Henry went over 100 yards today. Didn't make it in the end zone. Julio Jones was only targeted 4 times, had 3 catches for 47 yards. But then again, Tannehill threw for under 200 yards with 3 touchdown passes but 2 picks. So, yeah, for me, I'm still on the Texans bandwagon. I'm not worried about that. Businessman says it seems like he might suck. He probably sucks. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are Philadelphia fans that would agree with us. That's like, you know what? Get that bum the fuck out of town, and let's see what Jalen Hurts can do. And we'll get to that game. But kind of one of the shockers here, 2Ks. The Chargers and Chiefs. Kind of the big question coming out of here is, what the hell's the matter with the Chiefs?
Yeah.
They supposedly went out and they retooled that offensive line. But then again, the Chargers team is not a bad team.
Yeah.
I think they're better than what most people are going to give them credit for, just because second year Justin Herbert, what are we going to get? Well, from the looks of it, 2Ks, you're going to get a complete extension, if not better results than last year. And I was watching a couple card breaks before you got here. And one of the guys is like, well, The prince has been dethroned. The prince has been dethroned. And by prince, he meant Mahomes. He's like, well, he's dethroned, and this dude's putting Herbert up there already. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to that extent yet. No. Not going to that extent. But what I found odd is on Football Night in America here, Tony Dungy brought up the fact, I think it was Tony, that it seemed in his eyes, which Tony has forgotten more football than you and I know combined. But he's like, it just seems that Mahomes is making things too hard. You know, he does have the skill set to the no-look pass, obviously go deep to Tyreek, and you got the best tight end / receiver in Kelsey. The weapons are there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hit 100 yards today. I can't remember the last time they had a 100-yard rusher or needed one. Yeah. But the Chiefs are 1-2, bro. Yeah. Chiefs are 1-2. Is it time to panic in Kansas City?
No.
No,
there's no way that I'm not even close to panicking on this team.
Do they still win that division?
They've been in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. They won a Super Bowl, and then they lost last year in the Super Bowl. It's hard to stay on top in this league. Like, you're going to start getting every team's best. Everybody wants to beat you. Everybody wants to study you. Everybody wants to figure you out. And now they've kind of rode on just on the arm of Patty Mahomes for 2 years and all this talent around them. Now they're going to have to make adjustments. They'll make the adjustments that need to be made, and then it'll be right back to where the talent just overrides everything that people throw at them. This is still, to me, at this point into the season, they're still my favorite to be back in the Super Bowl and win it all. And not panicking on it yet.
And a big shout out to Andy Reid. Hopefully that hospital stint is short-lived, and you're back on the mend, brother. The next burning question, is this fucking Saints team for real? Is this Saints team for real? They beat the shit out of Green Bay, lay an egg last week, and now they go into Foxborough and pretty much silence that New England squad.
Well, they got Kamara the ball back.
Yeah, it's funny once you give your best player the ball. What happens?
Kamara's been the best player in New Orleans for how many years now?
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Got to get him the ball, and he hardly touched the ball at all last week. Obviously, last week they were so bad, I don't think they ever got into any kind of a rhythm or anything in that game. But they fed him the rock today, and he just carried them to an easy win against the Patriots. Because if you're gonna put the ball in Jameis Winston's hands and try to make him go win games for you, I'll say it every single week. You're not gonna have much luck. You'll win some here and there.
He went 13 for 21 with 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. But the big number here, 2Ks, 0 interceptions. Last week he had 3? 2 or 3 at least. Yeah. So, and the one thing that I can say with complete certainty is you cannot underestimate Sean Payton. He's proven. Granted, he's had a lot of help in that area when it comes to a quarterback named Drew Brees, or are we looking at the flip side going, maybe this New England team just really isn't that good? Which I think actually it's actually somewhere in the middle here. Mm-hmm. I think the Saints are good. They're gonna fuck around and win some games that they probably shouldn't just because of Sean Payton. And with New England, Mac Jones, remember, is a rookie. And we got a comment here from Businessman. He says, I'm a Taysom Hill fan. He had a few good plays today. I like guys with his skill set and think eventually there'll be a team to figure out how to use that guy like that. Absolutely. And like I've kind of selfishly said that if Jameis keeps being Jameis, fuck, run Ian Book out there, run him out there. But no, how can you not be a Taysom Hill fan? I mean, the dude is like a football equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. And speaking of knives, Mr. Aaron Rodgers is slicing this fucking San Francisco secondary up 2Ks. Ooh. Green Bay's up 3-0 right now. About 6 minutes left to go in the first quarter. And Aaron just dropped a fucking bomb. Just dropped a bomb. Love it. Keep throwing it. But no, we'll probably wrap up on this game just because we can get a little bit better of a feel for it. But it's looking like Green Bay is not letting San Francisco punch them in the mouth. They're actually doing the punching. So
yeah, and I didn't know what to expect with this game because over the years watching Rodgers when he plays here, he's always bad. He's always bad. So I didn't know what to. Where to go with it.
I did see Dustin on the pregame though. So big shout out to him. Well, 2Ks. Probably the least interesting game of the week. Falcons at Giants. Falcons got their first win. But again, it was against the Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants. Matty Ice had a normal Matty Ice game, 27-36, very efficient. 243, 2 touchdowns. However, did not get one to Pitts, which I needed for my parlay, which was totally awesome. But let's see what the Giants box score has. Danny Dimes, 24 of 35. Not bad.
Saquon got back in the end zone.
Yes. That's if you're a Giants fan, that's always a good sign. And by the end of the season, he'll be back to where he was.
They had him. I kind of talked about it a little bit last week. Where when we watched him last Thursday night, he wasn't really at all involved in the passing game.
No.
And today, I think he had 6 receptions over 40 yards.
Yep. 6 receptions for 40.
There was one play. I watched bits and pieces of this game. Obviously, I have Saquon on one of my fantasy teams, so I've been kind of watching him close. But there was one play where he kind of just bounced it, made a couple of those Saquon cuts that he makes where he just can stop and go on a dime. And it was like, okay, maybe he's finally he's back. Maybe we're
get some confidence, getting some pep in his step,
confidence in those legs, and maybe it's time that they start to kind of, because I think that they've been very conservative with him to this point.
You kind of have to.
But I thought that there was a good chance that it would kind of go up this week because obviously they played last Thursday night, so they had 10 days off, before the game today. And they did. Today was the most active that I've seen him. But at the end of the day, it's just not a very good offense. It's not a good offensive line. It's going to be an uphill battle for him. I think that he will start getting more carries and more touches.
Rodgers to Devontae, touchdown.
More carries and more touches, but I don't know if he's going to be, as far as a fantasy running back, is it going to be there? Just because this team is so bad, and they're going to be chasing a lot. Yeah,
which does not bode well for a running back getting carries and stuff like that. But back to your point, the more involved he is with the passing game, still a big upside. Next game, Bengals at Steelers. Bengals get off the schneid. Nope, they were 1-1 before that, so they're 2-1. Go into Heinz Field, and just judging from the scoreboard here, 2K is just punched the Pittsburgh Steelers in the fucking mouth.
Yeah, this Steelers team is about as bad as I've seen them in a long time. They're always, Pittsburgh, you basically hang your hat on them every single year that they're going to be a tough team to beat. They're going to be legit every year. And this Pittsburgh team is just not very good, I don't think. The offensive line is awful.
Horrible.
Awful. You got Najee Harris, the rookie back, in the backfield there. And I honestly, I really think that he maybe is like top 5 or 6 caliber running back in the game right now today, but he can't do anything. As soon as he gets the ball, there's 2 or 3 guys in the backfield waiting for him.
He had 14 carries for 40 yards.
Yeah,
but he also had 14 catches for 102 yards. And Ben went 38 of 58, which if your quarterback's throwing the ball 58 times, that's not a good sign. And then add on top of that, Ben's not a spring chicken. But he went, like I said, 38 of 58, 318, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. And that's kind of the Ben Roethlisberger we've been seeing for the last handful of years. It's kind of like Jameis was down in Tampa. He's going to throw for 350. He's going to get you in the end zone a couple times, but he's going to turn the ball over probably more than he's going to throw touchdowns. Yep. And there, for whatever reason, there's been just a rash of groin injuries running through the Steelers camp, and there was no Watt. I mean, there's a handful of dudes on that defense that were out.
Receivers. And Deontay Johnson was out today. Schuster went down in the first half and didn't play at all in the second half. They're banged up, but your boy Chase Claypool, he definitely stepped up, had a good day today. But yeah, there's a lot of injuries with Pittsburgh right now. But until that offensive line, they can figure out something there.
Yeah.
Because even with Roethlisberger, he's not the most fleet of foot anymore. But I feel bad for him a lot of times watching him, because as soon as he even drops back and starts going through progressions, he's got 3 or 4 guys right there on him. So
him and Justin Fields.
He just doesn't have.
Justin Fields is just a tad more elusive than Roethlisberger.
He can make plays to where Roethlisberger can't do a goddamn thing. Once you get on him, he's out.
But just to kind of give you the flip side, Burrow goes 14 for 18, 172, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. And Mixon had 18 carries for 90 yards. So that's more of the stat line I think we need to see. They ran, 18, 19, 24 rushes against 18 passes. I like that a whole bunch more. And yeah, that Steelers team is sinking in a very, very competitive division. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can right that ship. But I think as it is right now, I think that is a sinking ship. But Cardinals at the Jags. This was a weird game. The score really doesn't. I don't think is indicative on how kind of lopsided this game was, because for a lot of the game 2Ks, Jacksonville was in it and or winning it. And Kyler goes 28 for 34, 316, no touchdown passes in a pick. James Conner found the end zone twice. Did not start him on my fantasy team, which was awesome. But yeah, kind of a weird game.
Yeah, this game, I watched a lot of this game too, because obviously my man crush is kind of Kyler Murray right now. Love watching him. And today, he was kind of basically the same thing that he's been doing all season long. He just didn't get the down inside in the goal line situations. It seemed like they were just running them in, to where in the first couple weeks of the season.
And Cardinals had a couple defensive scores, right? At least one, I think.
They might have had one. I know that they fucked up at the end of the first half and tried to kick a 68-yard field goal that came up short. The guy returned it then from the back of the end zone all the way back to the house.
Okay.
Because you try to watch 8 offensive linemen tackle a return man.
A really, really fast guy. Yeah, that doesn't seem like that's going to bode a whole lot of success there.
I mean, it was just a really dumb play call to me by Kingsbury. A 68-yarder in Jacksonville. They was saying that they were talking about how hot it was today. It was upper 80s, close to 90 degrees there. Obviously, that air be a real heavy air.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have Prater kicking for them now, who has a hell of a foot, but that's pushing it a little bit. And I thought it was a really a terrible plan. Terrible to do that in that situation, and they paid for it, but. They come out in the second half, started finally, they figured things out on defense. Jacksonville is still awful.
Yes.
Urban Meyer still does not have a win. That makes me happy.
No, yeah.
And Cardinals moved to 3-0. I mean, behind, if the season was to end today, Kyler Murray's got to be in that.
Absolutely.
Right there at the top as far as for MVP.
Yeah. Let's move from one dumpster fire to another. The Jets over at the Broncos.
This Broncos team is
The biggest question here is the fuck is that noise?
My phone.
Oh, Jesus!
Press the wrong button.
Is Teddy Two Gloves legit? Is Teddy Two Gloves legit? I'm all in on Teddy Two Gloves. I'm all in.
Well, he doesn't need to do anything crazy. Just take care of the football. And ride that defense, because right now, to this point in the season, that's been the best defense in the league. But my thing is with the Broncos is I do like them. I like what they've been doing this year. They're 3-0, but
they've got a running game that's slowly evolving to kind of help Teddy.
They've also started their season off with the Giants, Jaguars, and the Jets.
Yes.
That's a very, very those to me right now are probably the 3 worst teams I've seen this year in the NFL. So to start your season off with those 3 teams
kind of gives you a little bit confidence.
Things are going to start to get real now. They got Ravens next week. They got the Steelers after that.
Game.
Raiders, Browns, Cowboys, Eagles. So their schedule is going to start to pick up now. We're going to figure out, is this Denver team for real?
Businessman says, gotta love seeing Urban Meyer lose. Could not agree more, brother. Could not agree. Could not agree more.
No, there's not much better. I fucking hate Urban.
He also says, I just want wide receiver Corey Davis to play for a good team one time and get a chance. Dude, I totally agree with you there. Western Michigan guy, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He was one of the row the boat guys.
Started with the Titans and then unfortunately ended up a Jet this year.
Yeah.
Which probably the number one wide receiver there. I don't follow the Jets a whole lot, but I would say that he's probably their best talent. But
I couldn't even name another. I could not even name another Jets wide receiver.
Safe to say they will be the worst team in the NFL this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As far as for all you other Lions fans hoping for a quarterback, I got to think that the Jets probably are not going to be looking for a quarterback
unless Zach Wilson physically just does not make it out of the season. Yeah. But let's keep the train rolling here. 2Ks. Next game, Dolphins at Raiders. Is this Raiders team's legit, or is this just like years previous where Gruden starts out the season pretty good, and then about week 6 or 7, the whole team just takes a shit? Is Derek Carr legit?
This Raiders team is legit if Derek Carr keeps playing the way that he's been playing in the first
could not
3
agree
weeks
more.
into the season. We talk about. I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody. I've been talking about Kyler Murray. He's the MVP. Or that last week I made a comment that Tom Brady's got to be, considered that. Derek Carr, nobody wants to talk about it, but as far as 3 weeks into the season, what his numbers are at, maybe has the best numbers of any quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
But it's Derek Carr. Nobody really wants to talk about Derek Carr.
Yeah, and it always looks like he's going to cry. But I'm all in, and this game went to overtime, and the Dolphins, I think, are going to have a little issue on their hands because Brissett looked great. When Tua's healthy again, do you roll him out there again, or do you, if Brissett has a hot hand? I mean, granted, they didn't win this game today, but the offense looked better. The whole team looked better.
I think where we're at right now was after watching a little bit today. Brissett gives them a better chance to win right now. Just like you go back to last year, Fitzpatrick was giving them a better opportunity to win, but they weren't going with it. They went away from Fitzpatrick and they went to it.
The fan base wanted it, and I think if we took a poll of 1,000 Miami fans, which there might only be 1,000 of them in existence, probably 970 of them would have said, I would have much rather stuck with Fitzmagic rather than moving to Tua, but you drafted Tua, I think it was number 5 overall for a reason. I thought that was very high to pick him considering all the injury history he had, and we really didn't know how that hip would react, but that's neither here nor there. But again, you're putting a young kid behind a very, very awful offensive line, which is going to lead to more hits, more chance of injuries, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So if moving forward the next few weeks while Tua's out, if Brissett's balling out like this, in my opinion, you got to ride with him. You got to ride with him. Seahawks at the Vikings. What the fuck happened to the Seahawks, 2Ks? What the fuck?
They can't play defense.
No.
They can't stop anybody. I mean, they allowed Kirk Cousins to look like he was Tom Brady out there.
You like that?
I mean, it was just an easy day at the office for him. They weren't getting any pressure on him, and watching the game, it was so frustrating to watch because the freaking secondary for the Seahawks is playing about 15 yards off the line of scrimmage and basically just allowing these receivers and the Vikings have good receivers. They have a good receiving crew. Oh yeah. So they have the weapons, but the Seahawks can't stop anybody. It's pretty fucking sorry.
Yeah. And I guess some positives to take out of this. Wilson goes 23 of 32, 298 yards. Only one touchdown in the air, and that went to DK. 6 catches for 107 yards. This was a Vikings offense without Dalvin Cook, correct? Mm-hmm. So you have
which Madison looked great today.
26 carries for 112 yards. I did not know Amir Abdullah was still in the league, but obviously he's the third string running back at over there in Minnesota. He even had 5 carries for 24 yards. So Cousins blew up 30 of 38, 323 yards, 3 touchdowns, and again, 0 interceptions. That is a key number there. But the Vikings are one of those teams, like, I refuse to put money on them because I never know which Vikings team is going to show up. Is it going to be a team like this, or is it going to be a total shit show? And for them to put up 30 without Dalvin Cook touching the ball at all, I thought that would be just next to impossible. Next to impossible. Oh, I think that's going to conclude our trip around the league 2Ks. And yes, we answered some of the
Rams Bucks. It's the only game that we.
Oh yeah, we didn't do that one. We didn't do
so
that
far. Stafford looked freaking awesome today.
I'm very, very confident in my futures bet for Stafford to be the MVP. But the real MVP of this game was the defense. Even though getting back to old quarterbacks, Brady went 41 of 55, 432 yards and a touchdown. Tom also led the team in rushing, 3 carries for 14 yards and a touchdown. And it's never a good sign when Jones and Fournette combine for less than 20 yards rushing. That Rams defense just completely snuffed out the entire rushing attack of Tampa. But when you got TB12 manning the helm, he's like, all right, we can't run the ball. Fuck it, we're going to throw it 55 times. And only having one out of 55 throws, only having 1 touchdown pass is what kind of shocks me on that. But that Rams defense did get to him 3 times, so that's always been the key to getting to Brady. Make him move his feet, make him be uncomfortable. That's exactly what this Rams defense. I'm pretty sure that's the reason they put this team together, is to beat Tom like this, because I think when it's all said and done, 2Ks, this is probably the NFC Championship game. And if it's not, I'm going to be really surprised. But I know there's all these TB12 fans going, well, it's just a regular season game, Turbo. Don't overreact. There's lots of stuff that Tom and that coaching staff didn't want to show the Rams. I think that's bullshit, but
yeah, I'm not buying that. I mean, Brady got his yards, and they moved the ball up and down the field all night.
Get in the end zone.
Exactly, and that's the key to defending them, I believe, is try to force them to kick field goals. And in today's game, where they were chasing a little bit, they basically just forced them to going forward on 4th down and not getting it. But yeah, the Bucs moved the ball. There was no problem with that. They just didn't give up. They were stingy when it got inside the red zone. They didn't give up touchdowns, and that's how you beat them.
And I think too that even going back to the Dallas game 2Ks, probably the Achilles heel of this Bucs team is going to be that secondary. Dak torched them, and that was obviously Dak's kind of coming out party for the year, first game of the season. But Stafford goes 27 of 38, 343 with 4 touchdowns, has a massive day. His quarterback rating was 134. However the fuck you calculate that, who knows? But he's putting together a very strong campaign to be the MVP, and I think he's kind of showing the entire football universe what he can do in big games, because that's kind of always been the knock on him. Can't play in the big games. Well, you have to play in a big game to show up for a big game. And last time I checked, the Lions haven't been in too many big games his whole entire career there. So once you put him on a team that A, has a running game, B, actually has offensive linemen that can block for him. He only got sacked once. And that Tampa defense, that front 7 is vicious.
Yeah.
Vicious. And Deshaun Jackson comes out, 3 catches and 120 yards. Didn't even know he was still in the league, to be honest with you. Cooper Kupp has another fantastic day, 9 catches, 96 yards, finds the end zone twice. That Stafford to Kupp, that is becoming probably one of the most just vicious combinations in the NFL right now. In the NFL. All right, well, 2Ks, what are you? It's Green Bay's up 10-0 on San Francisco. They're punting. The second quarter just started. And I actually put money on this game. I took Green Bay and a couple of... I had Devontae scoring, which he already did, so my bet's looking all right. But like I said, it's just the second quarter. And I think Aaron Rodgers is back. I think he's trying to shit on everyone that he that kind of doubted him or called him a diva or, after that week 1 loss, you should be more fired up. You should be getting, rallying the troops, not saying, relax, everybody. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And you know what? He's right. I think he's going to shit down everyone's throat. Just to be like, you know what? This is gonna, it's one of those mic drop, silence the hater move, and he's doing it on national television week in and week out. And what I'm looking for is a pick by Green Bay. I was just gonna allude to this. It's like when are we gonna get to see Trey Lance?
Yeah.
When is the Trey Lance era gonna start? And to be honest with you, hopefully the start to his career is a more lucrative and not as sack happy as Mr. Justin Fields, but not only for the Niners, because they drafted up or they traded up to get him, and you and I have Jimmy G just caught that right in the face.
That's just a terrible decision.
Yeah,
there. You're throwing it into basically triple coverage there, and look at the tight end in the middle of the field. Take the easy throw.
But it's Kittle, bro.
And
take your
7-8 yards instead of throwing it up to Kittle, trying to catch it now through 3 guys, and one of the best defensive backs in the game, Jair Alexander, with the pick. So
yeah, I think this is going to be a statement game for Aaron Rodgers, to be honest with you, and it would not shock me if Trey Lance comes in at halftime, which I would think I think that'd be awesome. Yeah. Pretty sure I know who you're going to take, Eagles Cowboys, and I think the Cowboys are just going to absolutely destroy the Eagles.
I hope so. I mean, I'm picking them. I've been very impressed with Dallas to this point. That was a very good win as far as to go to LA last week and beat that Chargers team who beat the Chiefs today.
So what you're saying is ipso facto, the Cowboys can beat the Chiefs.
Oh, for sure. I mean, for sure. At this point in the season, I've been more impressed with Dallas than I have with Kansas City.
Absolutely.
I think Kansas City will get there, like I said earlier. But no, I've been impressed with Dallas. And tomorrow night's going to be Monday Night Football. It's going to be the first game of the season in Dallas. They played on the road in the first 2
Jerry's
weeks.
World.
So I have to believe you're going to get their best. And no. I think they win it easy. I really do. I'm not all that impressed with Philly. I honestly,
for the Cowboys
I think Dallas wins this division easy. I really do. I think Dallas runs away with this division.
And for Dallas to be a 3.5-point favorite at home against the Eagles, I think it's a slap in the fucking face. I think this is an easy 10-point win. Easy. I think Jalen Hurts is going to get destroyed. And on paper, and I know they play the game on the field, not on paper, but every single skill position, I take the Cowboys rather than the Eagles in every scenario.
Sure.
Their backfield, their wide receivers, their tight ends, their quarterback, their defense. Like I said, if you're a gambler, go ahead and hammer that 3.5. That's just my opinion. But 2Ks, let's wrap up the show with some college, brother. We really haven't, we've been kind of, the NFL's just starting, so I mean it's the shiny new toy right now, but we got some shit brewing in the college football, man. College football. Georgia looks unstoppable. Alabama looks beatable. Ohio State looks beatable, very beatable. They've already dropped one. Penn State looks very good. Iowa looks very good. And
let's not forget about Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon looks really good.
Yeah, they're the ones that probably are getting the least amount of hype out of the at least the top 10. But I don't know if you and I really haven't talked since I posted my last blog, but I caught some hate for it. I caught some hate for it, 2Ks. I said that, and this was not a shot at me or from me at Michigan fans. This was just me giving you technical analysis. I think your Wolverines are an 8-win team. Mm-hmm. And boy, first of all, big shout out to those that actually read the article, because I've been writing these for a few months now, and I really didn't know how many people still read them. But yeah, I got some messages on Facebook there, 2Ks, that are like, you're just a Michigan hater. You're a Notre Dame fan, which is true. I'm not a Michigan hater. I just prefer my team over yours. But if you look at their schedule, they're about an 8-win team. And like we talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, I think we're going to see a new Big Ten champion, and it's going to come down to either Penn State or Iowa, to be 100% honest. However, Michigan State might make some noise. And what are your thoughts on the state of Michigan football, the state of the Big Ten? You got your Wolverines have a big test coming up against Wisconsin.
Yeah,
which to be 100% honest, I chose them I picked them to lose against Wisconsin. But watching Wisconsin against Notre Dame, that Wisconsin offense is,
they're bad.
Yeah,
they're bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to put it. And the quarterback play from Mertz has just been awful, awful to this point in the season. My thing with Michigan is, it was so frustrating watching them yesterday. They completely dominated that game in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come out in the second half and they play so fucking conservative on offense. And I think they punted the ball away 3 or 4 drives in a row.
3 and outs.
Yeah,
3 and outs.
And so then their defense is on the field basically the entire third quarter. And they allowed Rutgers to get right back into that game and have every opportunity to possibly, tie that game up or win that game.
Absolutely.
And because of the conservative play calling, how many times can you line up and run the ball up the gut to 8 men in the box?
Yep.
And think that you're gonna just outblock that? You're gonna outblock that with 6 guys over 8 guys? I mean, it's a fucking numbers game at that point. Like, what makes you think you're gonna win that battle? What you have, or at least in my opinion, what Michigan has over a team like Rutgers is they should be more athletic.
Absolutely.
So if you were more athletic than them, why aren't you not trying to get the ball in the perimeter and do what you've done? Do what you did against Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Do what you did against Washington. Get things on the perimeter and play that style of football instead of running right in. They just ran themselves right into what the Rutgers wanted them to do. Yeah. What the Rutgers needed them to do. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's poor coaching, and it's been poor coaching at Michigan for a long time now. And I mean that's a blast I'm putting on Harbaugh. That's a blast I'm putting on Josh Gaddis as the offensive coordinator, as the play caller. How much of this and my question is, how much of this play calling is Josh Gaddis, or how much does Jim have his thumb on a lot of what goes on when it comes to play calling? I don't know that answer.
It did seem like that game was
more of a Jim Harbaugh style.
Yeah. Just line them up and just bash the hell out of them. That this Big Ten football, brother. This is Michigan football.
Yeah. And that shit doesn't work. That shit's not gonna beat Wisconsin. That shit's not going to beat Penn State. It's not going to beat Michigan State. It's definitely not going to beat Ohio State.
No.
So, when is it going to happen? When are they going to make that change? I don't know. I mean, do I think that they can beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin next week at this point right now? No, I don't. And when it comes down to beating Michigan State this year, no, I don't. And when it comes down to Penn State, no, I don't. And even fucking throw Maryland in there. Maryland, a team that nobody's talking about right now, and how to this point in the season Maryland's not ranked is just a joke.
His brothers fucking slinging it.
Yes.
He's fucking slinging it.
So, no, I don't think they're going to win that. So to say that they're an 8-win team, I think that's pretty goddamn fair, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not impressed with them. I'm impressed with certain players, but until they change their identity and stop trying to play this old school, we're gonna stuff it down your throat kind of game, you're not gonna do it. Those days are over of being able to play that style of football, because the teams like Ohio State and like Penn State and like even Michigan State to this point, they have the athletes. So you have that's what you have, and but the difference with those teams is their coaches know how to use their athletes to where I still think Jim Harbaugh is trying to figure that out. I don't know why it's so hard for him to figure that out, but it's sad.
Well, kind of speaking about Michigan State, I almost forgot about this. Mr. Matt Asmus, ran into him last night and we started talking, and I can't remember if he said he bet somebody or this was something he heard that that Michigan State will be no better than 6-6 within their first 3 seasons under this new coach. And the name of the coach escapes me now, but I didn't know that this dude he was coached in the NFL. I mean, he has a long pedigree of being a very, very established coach. So I was like, God damn, I did not know that. So kind of to have get everything where they're at right now, I guess is a better. Maybe we should have saw it coming, I guess, but he's got them boys balling, dude. He's got them balling, and if you're a Sparty fan, you got to be loving what you're seeing. But we'll kind of put the Michigan talk to bed here, and I think one of the things that they were saying on the broadcast was, I did not know this. I was looking at the stat line. McNamara went 9 for 16. He only had 16 passes for 163 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And one of the things that they were kind of alluding to was that if you're a defense, you kind of have to force McNamara to be more efficient, be more effective, which is basically what, judging at this, and then kind of piggybacking off your point, let's see, was it Corum? 21 rushes for 68 yards.
Yeah.
Haskins 12 carries for 41 yards. So it's not like they were with like the first few weeks. Each one of those dudes seemed to be going over 100 yards. But
this is a team at every game to this point. They were rushing for over 300 yards. Mm-hmm. And yesterday, 38 carries amongst those running backs for a total of 112 yards. Like that's that tells you right there. Rutgers we're throwing everybody in the box and saying we're going to force McNamara to have to beat us in the air. Well, but Michigan didn't give him a chance to do that. Michigan decided we're just going to keep running into the teeth of this defense and see what happens. Well, what happened was they almost fucking blew the game against a decent Rutgers team. I'm not gonna say that Rutgers are bad because they're not. They're Greg Schiano coaching
way better
now.
than what they have in the past.
Got them back to getting. I think give it a little bit more time, you might see Schiano right back where Rutgers were. In his first go around there, and so Schiano's a great coach. This team is a lot better than what they have been in the past, but still, this Michigan team they should be beating teams like this by 3 scores.
And just taking a peek at next week, 2Ks, Iowa goes to Maryland. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
They've got Iowa to 3.5-point favorite right now. That's going to be a big game. And we got Arkansas and Georgia. Arkansas out of nowhere is ranked 8th. And it's Georgia's number 2 right now. And an 8v2, Georgia's an 18.5-point favorite. They've got Wisconsin at a 1-point favorite, but I think that's going to move. There's no way a 4-0 Michigan team is going to be or should be a dog to a 1-2 Wisconsin team. That just doesn't make any sense. And of course, the biggest game in my eyes is Cincinnati going into South Bend. They've got my Irish 2.5-point dogs, which that game's scary. And we kind of. I'm pretty sure we mentioned this either last week or the week before. This is the teeth of Notre Dame's season right here. Mm-hmm. And ironically enough, it started with Wisconsin. Wisconsin had a bye last week so they had an extra week of prep to get ready for Notre Dame. Cincinnati was off this week. What is Fickle and the boys going to have time, that much extra time? What are they going to be able to pick apart? And what seems to be a growing and evolving Notre Dame defense. They're definitely better than week 1 and 2. So it's and as far as the quarterback's concerned, we touched on it in the open. Do you stick with the hot hand? I mean, if Cohen's healthy again, because he came out of that game with an ankle, and the backup was already did not dress because he had a hamstring. So Mr. Third String comes in, all he does is fucking ball out. So, and then getting back to, saying that Alabama looks beatable this year. They're not the juggernaut that they were last year or even the year before. They've got a number 12 Ole Miss team coming in. And Bama's a 14.5-point favorite there. And Oregon at Stanford. And that pesky Rutgers team hosts Iowa State next week. Or Ohio State, excuse me. So that's going to be at least on my radar, that's going to be kind of a neat game to watch. So any final thoughts on next week's schedule as far as the NCAA is concerned, 2Ks? There's a lot of great games on the slate. I mean, probably if I had to guess, game day is probably going to be in Georgia.
Yeah, I believe so too. And that one is that's one to look out for. Right as of right now, Georgia being 18 and a half favorite, and that I don't see that being anywhere close to that. This Arkansas team is for real. I watched them play yesterday.
They're legit.
They're good. It's a good team.
Who Pig Suey?
Yeah.
Who Pig Suey, or whatever the fuck they say. But no, I'm more comfortable with my Irish after that win, but having to go from one stressful game to another, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. And I think the only saving grace is that, and at least this game is at home. Mm-hmm. They obviously teams tend to play better at home, but kind of going off on a little tangent here before we get out. One thing that irritates the shit out of me, 2Ks, is historically Notre Dame usually never plays very good in these Shamrock Series games where they're playing somewhere else. I don't know if it's the different uniforms. And this one was, the Wisconsin game was at Soldier Field, so it still was a football field. Mm-hmm. But hell, they've played in Yankee Stadium. They've played all. Last year they were supposed to play in Ireland. So these if you're gonna do this, do it against a team that you should beat handily. So you're not freaking me out. Mm-hmm. So you're not freaking me out. Kind of ease my stress level a little bit. But even the teams we should have beat a lot leading up to this game, we did not. So it's definitely gonna be a definite must watch. But there's good games all around here, 2Ks. Good games all around. So next week should be an exciting college football. And I mean, there's always great pro games too. So you guys know where to find us. You'll get all of our takes. And for those of you that did reach out and actually read my article, thank you. But if you guys do want to get early access to the podcast or access to the blogs, go to buyturbobeer.com, buy us a beer, and you will get an email every time I write an article. So anything else we need to, any bows we need to tie, I's we need to dot, T's we need to cross, anything like that, 2Ks?
No, I think we covered it.
One thing I actually want to talk about is fuck fantasy football. I hate you. I hate you. Unless Aaron Rodgers just drops dick and has like 100 points tonight, then I'll be fully on the fantasy football page.
Fully twerked.
Yep, fully twerked. That's what we do. Well, 2K crew will get you out of here on this. Have a fantastic week. The weather should be absolutely beautiful. Get out and do your last, probably some of the last sunning and funning before fall gets here and then that nasty S word shows up. So get out and enjoy it. Have fun. Be safe. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.